Welcome back to Surviving Mars tutorial. My name is Zelia and today we're going to talk about building efficiently. Let's begin. Okay, for full disclosure, this tutorial is built with the sandbox mod available on the workshop. I will have that linked down below just so we could build stuff. The goal is to build and to look at different ways we can build. I randomed into India and Inventor as my choices, but it kind of doesn't necessarily matter who I have with the sandbox mod, because as you could see when I jump into the sandbox mod on my research, if I hit the right button, I have a gazillion research. In fact, it's going to tell me it researched here in a second and it's done. I also started scanning this whole row, and we'll just scan across the map. But in order for us to build, I'm gonna need stuff. So we're gonna grab another rocket really quick. I actually need this guy, and I need that guy. I don't have any of that here. And here's the other rocket. So what's amazing is the rockets are instant. It's not anything to do with the sponsor. It's all about the sandbox mod. If you haven't played it and you want to try and experiment in how you could build and improve things, and then let's grab another rocket. We need this guy. You know, just because I don't recall if I actually was using resources. We'll do that. So we got a moisture evaporator, we've got our fuel refinery. Let's run with this. Actually, let's grab some drones. And let me get me this. Let's get a few of those. Launch. Although honestly, I don't think sandbox mode's gonna let us is gonna force upon things. Obviously in IRL you would never do that. This is too close. This is all dangerous. Let's grab ourselves some universal depots. So they start unleashing all of that. I want you to take all of this and put it here. I want you to go scan something. There. Okay. I probably did not pick the best location. Okay. Because it's India, we already have our medium dome unlocked. I bet you if we look at this, boom, 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 boom. Hopefully we'll get a discovery soon. Tech, all of that was researched. So this is the power of Sandbox, is you could just go through that stuff, unlock the stuff, and then keep going. So let's talk about the whole point of this is efficiency. I'm a firm believer in grabbing and building efficiency, building redundancy. Mission log, nice. Gain 2,000 research. Although I don't necessarily need that because we're playing on Sandbox, because I want to show you some processes to build. Keep doing that. These guys are going to rush here and build this with any hope soon. If I do it right. We'll do this. We're gonna follow that line out there. And they're gonna run there and get that. Boom, done. Now they're gonna build this. So the whole idea behind the sandbox for this purpose is to talk about things. For example, our power cables, if we run them in such a way, we can make it a lot more efficient. So we're gonna say this colony first starts to mine. Well, this is a terrible spot if you were to really play this game. But this is a good spot for an example. Grab our concrete extractor. This might be too much. So we have our power generation. We're going to have our power storage, right? So power generation into storage next to dome. For redundancy, I would say you would also have power generation, not necessarily storage, because that's still expensive early on in your play. But maybe we have a little bit of power generation over here that goes into the dome. Did we uncover any other things? Let's charge up and go scan something else. In the meantime, let's queue these up, call it a day. And again, that was M, scroll in, and then M, scroll in. So I scrolled in, and then I hit M, and then I scrolled in, and it put me where I wanted. So now it's complaining about water, right? That's good. I hear you. We'll put just a little bit of power on this side. The idea being is that if something happens on the other side, we still have power that's still going through the dome to charge the battery. We're playing the odds that this guy is not going to get affected, right? We're playing that odd that that's not going to get affected by something. And if it does, then hopefully all of the power is still supplied to the dome. If you hear a cat meowing, that would be Destiny. Not only does she make an appearance during live stream, but she also makes an appearance during recording sessions. Okay, we're gonna run pipes. A redundancy in this case. It won't go. Bummer. Well, okay, so this side, our redundancy in this case is given the fact that we have our tower and our oxygen here. We have an oxygen producer here. Well, sorry, water producer. And then we have a water and oxygen. Oh my goodness. Totally confused. You know what I mean. So we'll just place it here. I'd like to keep it as clean as possible. This guy, all this dust will go on here. This is actually very bad to do. Don't do this. In fact, what I would do is I would tell you take your lead from here. And move them here. Now I can't get rid of these yet because we didn't research, but I can tell it to demolish. Although maybe we did. Did we get decommission? We did. I would tell you this should be far away from this. Now, right now, we're currently only running on solar power. I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. These cost metal. These cost a machine part, specifically a half a machine part. Early on, I can get metal a lot quicker than I can get a machine part. I'm just gonna... I mean, in reality, I don't really need to concern myself with it because we are playing sandbox for this, but the idea is that we want to keep in mind what would normally cost machine parts or metal. Metal is a lot easier to get early game. This cost us metal to maintain. This cost us polymer. Right now we are spending a polymer to maintain this. This cost us machine or metals. This cost us an electronic. Although I believe we already researched, we did research something. We probably already researched the perk. I don't really need to research that. What was it? Did we get autonomous? Oh, it's our breakthrough. Autonomous. Yeah, because it's India. So those drone hubs don't need anything for us just because of who we are. But in this regard, if we have an accident here, we still have our water supply. If we have an accident here, well, I'm sorry. If we have an accident here, we still have our oxygen. If we have an accident here, we have our water because these are stored here. You could make an argument to add a second thing here, but the likelihood that you have a problem here, and a problem here simultaneously is very unlikely. And then for proper, if we are playing with a need to watch our P's and Q's and all of that stuff, we would just back this off. We're less likely going to have a leak because we have very little pipe. I totally did not hit the shift key down, but if we do that, if there's a leak, we could fix that. And in fact, since this cable doesn't go far, or this doesn't go far, we don't need this piece. This should be virtually indestructible as far as pipe leaks and maintenance, because this is a connection pipe, this is a connection pipe, that's a connection pipe, and this is a valve. This one, most likely going to be our biggest concern. It's the longest stretch of pipe, because I didn't put it next to the dome. You don't necessarily want it so close to the dome. You want to be able to have things spread out. But pipe valve, pipe valve, pipe valve. If something happens here, I can shut it down. If we go to extend this, we could shut it down that way. And then these guys, obviously it needs storage capacity. Let's give it some storage capacity really quick and move on with our tutorial. Let's do this, and let's do this. That should reach here. Hopefully we get liquefaction soon, and then we don't ever have to worry about it again. No active research. See, this is the beauty of this. And it's gonna go boop, done, no active research. So let's talk about moving to another dome. So a dome has a very specific range. If I want people to work here, I want them to work in this building. I'm gonna need 1, a cable connection, and 2, all the other things that supply this. But I have to have it in range of this. They will only walk that far. So I only did that to mark it. I'm gonna see if I could pull a pipe from this side to here. We could have somebody, oops, work in this building. Boop. And now because we've added that connection, there, there, there. We're gonna take away this piece. This is all extra. I don't need this. I currently don't need this. So in this regard now we need people here. They're working. Blah, blah, blah. They go back and forth. They go back and forth. But now we want to expand to reach this. Because maybe in our game we need more of this resource that's over here. And we want to move our domes across. Obviously, you still need one of these guys. Let's get ourselves one of these guys. And let's kind of space it out. So if I double click on this, I see this outline. If I add this, I still see that outline, and I could make this as far as possible without being out of range. Now, with our perk as India, I'm looking at our hexagons. With our perk as India, this will essentially build itself. It doesn't need any power. It doesn't need anything like that because of India, not to mention the complexity that is Sandbox. But in the real world, you'd run that cable out there, boom, done. Now we have this building needs workers, here's some water. But what I want to talk about is if I do this, that building will go here. This building should be able to have workers from here and here commute to it. I know one of the biggest things that we'd like to have for this game is the ability to connect this dome to this dome so you can have people live and work in here. I get it, I understand it. It's a little bit, it's not necessarily a frustration of mine or anything like that. It's just, it's a different way of thinking that they're stuck in a bubble. But they literally are stuck in a bubble. Coming from City Skylines, I'm used to people commuting from here to here to get to that job, right? Let's continue our redundancy. If I pull this out this way and then go here, now if something happens with this line, this dome still has power. If something happens with this line, this dome still has power. And as we add some power generation this way, the power goes through this dome. If something happens to this power and this power, this dome here still has power. So if we take a peek at it, We're using our domes to provide redundancy within the system while keeping it as minimal as possible. I would argue that this is probably not really good. We could maybe just delete this and relocate it closer to that other thing. Delete. And delete. And there. Not completely necessary, but I did it anyway. So this dome now has a battery. And that dome now has an oxygen tank and a water tank. If we put these guys here, if this breaks, we can shut it down. What we haven't done is we haven't done that to our cables. Cables get tricky. One thing I like to do is before we start doing anything, like let's just put these switches everywhere. I like to look where these guys connect. Although arguably, I don't think I really need that one, but if there's a fault here. One of the most underused features is a switch. Do I really need that? Actually, what I need is I need this. I need this switch to go away. Think of these switches as stoplights in city skylines. There. You want the traffic to flow this way, and you want it to flow crossways. But then if something happens here, you want to be able to turn the switch off. And now it no longer has power. So if there's a fault here, you save that power. Now all of our power is going to charge up this battery. Barely, but it's going to do it. So now we have 2 domes. So in this case, we're not actually making enough water to supply this dome. So, let's go further. If we run this here, jump into this, we can have it make its own water. And now that it's about to make its own water, this moisture evaporator will help supply this. And now we have that. So also for the sake of redundancy, in this case, we could change up our power. And then if you start off with the Stirling generators, you could stick these guys in a dome. So maybe you put it there. Cool. So in this case, if we take kind of an overview look, we've got a producer, a producer, a producer, a storage, drone hub, different power. Like, I would argue this does not have the power diversity that I would want. And don't forget, you could put these guys in here. You could also, if if you wanted to take the space. Put your solar panels inside a dome too. So if you're really prone to a very dust storm area that's going to dirty all of your panels, you could put a dome together. You don't necessarily need to give a dome oxygen, because you can close this so it doesn't accept people. And you can also use a filter to say, don't give me anybody. And that should stop people from finding their way into that dome. So what we've done is we've used a simple layout, ran power through the dome to come to the other dome. And if we were to expand, we would expand into here, grab that metal. This factory should pull people from both domes. In fact, I would tell you, you might get, what you might want to do is you might want to build both domes before you build this, so they automatically will be living in both places. Because if you build this before you build this, all of the employees will live here and they'll never move to here. At least that's what I found out. Alrighty, until next time, my name is Zeely. Catch me live on Twitch, twitch.tv/EasyILII. Until next time, have an awesome one. Happy building.